Well guys, it looks like we are in for a very nice rainy Monday morning. Today we should be able to get the motor and trans. The goal is to get the motor and trans and transfer case into the final edition Evo 10. If we can do that, I don't see why we couldn't get a first start like Wednesday. Today's currently Monday. I know you're probably watching this video on Tuesday or Wednesday, but yeah. And I know I'm not wearing my seatbelt. Don't roast me. I had to drive like 3 feet. I know I should wear it at all times. I usually do. But yeah, goal for the day, get the motor trans T-case. That'd be cool to get the subframe back into, and that should leave us with a good stopping point for getting a first start here in the next few days. I was planning on installing, I'll break the news now. We're doing a bigger turb ski, as always. I was planning on getting that installed before the motor goes back in. It is an Evo 10, so they're a little bit more difficult to get a turbo on or replaced while the motor's in the car. Unfortunately, the turbo's not gonna show up till the end of the week, and that's a little too late to wait around for. So let's head in the shop as soon as it stops downpouring so much I don't feel like getting soaked, and we can get to work. The worst part about having really nice cars like this and like that and not a ton of space is when we're doing motor installs and that kind of stuff, we need all sorts of space. Like I gotta pull the motor and trans apart, or not apart, but separate them, put a new clutch in it, and of course we need space. Days like today when it's downpouring, the cars just get filthy. I am planning, when we do our new shop project, being that there's gonna be ample amount of space, there's gonna be 2 separate sections, which I'm very excited for. I wanna just post the plans and show you guys everything. I don't wanna spoil it too much because I do plan on documenting the project, but there's gonna be 2 separate, I guess, sides to the shop. A showroom side where cars like this and all the other nice cars can sit and we can look at. That's where the office space is gonna be, maybe a little chill room, a little bar or something. And then there's gonna be the work side, all the dirty side, the paint booth, powder coat section. When we're doing motor builds, it'll be all over there. And then that'll be exciting. Yeah, I'm excited for that. Hopefully within the next year, the shop project is done. It just takes forever. If you've ever done a custom home, shop, whatever, you know it's a long process. So we have 2 objectives with this power plant. Number 1, new clutch. Number 2, get it all cleaned up. I did see comments, I think it was 2 videos ago. One of the top comments was, we all know Devin's gonna pull apart this motor. It is very tempting. It is very tempting to pull apart the motor and build it. Do forged pistons, nice set of rods, built head, do the works. But it is an Evo. Let's be honest. It ain't no Subaru. To reliably make, say, 480, maybe 500 wheel, we don't need a built motor. We need a fuel system, we need a turbo, we need full exhaust, flex fuel kit, and of course things like a map sensor, EBCS, random little things like that. I know, I'm picking on the Subaru guys. I'm a Subaru guy myself. And they do make power, but I would say Evos make power a little bit easier, a little bit more reliably, a little bit safer, a little bit less money. Step 1, let's get all of this wiring removed. I still have the busted up fuse box on here, everything's still connected. Let's get all this wiring off. We need to replace the throttle body as that got destroyed in the wreck. But as far as I know, that's the only thing that actually got damaged. It was a throttle body, as far as this goes, throttle body and fuse box. For what we're doing, there's no real sense in pulling off the engine harness. I pulled off the fuse box and all that harness that we already replaced on the chassis, but the actual engine harness itself should be good. This connector received a little bit of damage, but I think I could get that fixed up no problem at all. And to pull the trans, you definitely don't need to pull the harness. We gotta get this T-case out of here in order to pull the trans. So let's get the downpipe off. Really wish the turbo was here. It'd be 2 seconds to replace right now, but I guess that just gives me a reason to do a tutorial for you guys how to replace the Evo 10 turbo while it's in the car, while the motor's in the car and the car's complete. Coming soon. Heat shields gotta come off, downpipe comes off, T-case comes off. I did not disengage the throwout bearing clip while I was in the car, so that's gonna be mighty fun to do while it's on the ground. And then we could pull the trans off the engine. I'm assuming it's a factory clutch with the low amount of miles this car has. And as soon as our new clutch comes in, we can get it installed. Ten times out of 10, all of these bolts are pretty crusty and annoying to get out of here. So I'm just gonna start off with some WD-40. Number 1 is broke loose. Number 2 is loose. 3 is loose. And just like I predicted, this bolt came out just a little bit and now it's seized. Most likely will break off in the turbo. I tried, she broke off. Yay. 20 minutes later, with the motor out of the car, the downpipe's finally off. We're down to 3 bolts on top and 3 bolts on bottom, holding the T-case to the trans to get the T-case out of the way. Now, before the T-case can come off, we do need to remove the driver's side CV axle stub. That guy right there. The best way to do this is a slide hammer. Now I have modified this utensil just for Evos. So this is an M8 by 1.25 thread pitch bolt that I welded onto this nut. This nut threads onto the end of our slide hammer, and watch how easy it is to remove. With all those bolts removed, the CV stub removed, the T-case is ready to come out. Let's do the worst thing possible on an Evo. Disengage the clutch throwout bearing clip. What we need to do, we gotta pull off our slave, pull off that boot, pull off the axis cover right there. We're gonna go in through here with a flathead screwdriver, get it situated properly on that throwout bearing clip, twist it, MacGyver this guy, and hopefully with enough patience and maybe a few swear words, we can get that throwout bearing clip disengaged. It's not fun, it's never fun, it's never enjoyable, but let's get her done. Alrighty, it is a factory clutch, which also means factory throwout bearing clip. If it's the ACT monolock, it goes a little bit easier, which I would highly recommend an ACT monolock. The factory one, it always fails, which means it leaves you stranded. So do an ACT monolock clip or collar. No matter what clutch you do, they make a collar for your clutch. So do it. This can either go one of 2 ways, very easily or very difficult. Come on. I must be building too many Evos, man. Because that took about, well, 5 seconds. We have maybe 10 bell housing bolts. Trans comes off. We can take a look at the clutch. I'm assuming it's in great shape, but it's a factory clutch. It ain't gonna hold much power over, I don't know, a couple 100 foot-pounds. Where we're trying to go, we need a nice clutch. There's exactly 10 bell housing bolts holding the trans to the engine. So everything is dismantled and disassembled. I do need to pull the clutch. I'm gonna wait till the ACT comes in to get that removed. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and get everything cleaned up. Engine, trans, T-case, all can be fully degreased and pressure washed. Now, of course, you don't want to get water in the trans, so we gotta plug that off, plug off the other side. Same concept with the T-case, plug the output, and of course the motor, where the oil cooler bolts on, the AC compressor, power steering, everything, turbo, blah, 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 blah. Of course, you don't want water getting internally. So make sure, if you're gonna do what I'm doing, plug all that off. Motor is clean, T-case is cleaned up, and the transmission is clean. Just in time for our package. You already know. The only brand of clutch I run. So this here is the ME3-HDSS. It is ACT's HD pressure plate and street disc combo. This clutch right here, it's good up to 530 foot-pounds of torque. Quite a bit of torque. You'll be probably over 700 wheel horsepower at that range. This car is not going that hard. We ain't going that crazy. In my opinion, this is hands down the best single disc clutch you can run. It feels great, feels like OEM pedal feel, and of course it holds way more power, way more torque than the factory clutch does. Now if this car was to make, let's say 700 foot-pounds, something crazy like that, I would definitely be installing the Mod Twin. It is ACT's twin disc clutch. Still a very nice OEM feel, probably a little bit lighter than OEM honestly, but it is quite a bit more expensive than one of these guys here. If you want this exact clutch for your Evo 10, which I would highly recommend if you're around that 500 foot-pound mark, I will go ahead and link this guy down in the description box below. Big thank you to ACT for always having my back on these builds. Let's go ahead and get it installed onto the engine. The torque spec on the flywheel bolts is 96 foot-pounds. The ACT monolock I was talking about earlier, it's this guy right here. No matter what clutch you run, please do yourself a favor and get one of these at minimum. So the clutch is on, everything's torqued down. Now we need to prep the transmission. All we need to do here, go ahead and slap on a new throwout bearing. That one's in good shape, but might as well put a brand new one on. It comes with the clutch anyway. So we need to pull off this bolt here, remove the pin, clutch fork comes out, new throwout bearing goes on, reinstall the fork, and transmission can go on the motor. And then it goes in the car. Yay. So as soon as I get my trans mated to the engine, what I like to do on these stupid Evos is engage the pull style throwout bearing clip. Just to make sure she clips in like she should. Better to be safe than sorry. The transmission is fully installed. Let's go ahead, slap on the T-case, and then we have the downpipe, some heat shields and whatnot, and this old girl is ready for the car. This is the big moment for the build. Finally, man, after a little bit over 2 weeks of rebuilding and repairing all the damages on this car, she's finally getting her heart, her power plant. Let's lower the car down, pick up the power plant with the hoist, get on those 2 motor mounts, and then it's party time. I really need to go through and just get all the parts of this car cleaned up so I don't have to stop midway of assembly and clean parts, because that's what we're doing right now. All right, now we're ready. Well, I met my goal. We got the motor, trans, and T-case in the car. I have about 15 or 20 minutes left in the shop. Let's go ahead and get the subframe that we refreshed yesterday. Let's get this in the car. There is a mount, a rear trans mount on here, and then there's gonna be one more trans mount on the front cross member. If we get that in, get everything tightened up, we'll be sitting pretty for tomorrow. I know I tell you guys this every Evo 10 or Evo video in general. Get that motor mount bolt through first before you attach the subframe to the chassis. It makes life so easy. Well, if that ain't a successful day in the shop, I don't know what is. If you want to pick up that clutch we installed, I'll link it down below. Other than that, solid day. Motor, trans, T-case, subframe, steering rack, all that good stuff is in. If we really wanted to, I'm sure I could probably knock out a first start tomorrow, but we got a ways to go. We'll see. I will see you guys tomorrow.